Ales coming right up. Hello, and welcome to the BRB. Please, have a seat. You're just in time for Tavern chatter.
So, what if we got rid of con as a stat? Literally every class requires it. It's something you have to invest in or your character's garbage. What if you just, all the classes had a flat thing for it? It makes more sense to me that to save everyone resources, you just get rid of the con stat and you have different specialties.
He's fucking onto something.
No, I agree.
Hear me out. Literally every time I build a character, it is based around having to figure out where getting a con point in there.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have con, you've set yourself up to failure. That's your hit point. You will be weaker leveling up if you do not have a high con. I feel like almost every D&D character should have a higher con.
So, question about that. Because you're saying that each class should have basically a con modifier attached to it?
They already do. It's called hit dice.
Exactly. That's my point. Are you talking about just completely pulling Constitution out of the game entirely?
I mean, what's a Constitution saving throw? Like,
concentration check.
I mean,
Concentration
I feel
check.
like that should be based on your magical bullshit.
Anything
Better
against
than how much you can take a punch.
anything against poison. A lot of things about magical displacement are con saves.
And how tough are you that can drink a thing of poison? Or how much do you know about a magical displacement?
But the size of your muscles doesn't determine your resistance to alcohol.
I disagree. You could be on size, too, if you want to do it that way.
I think size should get advantage on.
I could almost see your poison being a wisdom.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it's it's a physical effect.
I think it'd be cool if you got
It's
to
a
roll your
way,
hit
it's a
die for
way
it.
you process it.
Poison.
I have seen people so drunk out of their mind that they still can handle themselves just calmly. Not because their body is super tough and able to protect themselves, but because their mind is sharp enough to keep them going.
I would say charisma rather than wisdom. More of a willpower base.
That's actually so.
I mean, wisdom is willpower.
If you guys play
no.
if you play the Fallout series, the alcohol is based off of not your endurance, it's based off of your charisma.
Can we circle back to the wisdom is your willpower?
No, because alcohol and poison are two different effects.
Are they?
One just kills you a bit slower.
I don't know, I've seen you drink.
Poison causes the body to, fail in more ways than just alcohol processing.
So, actually,
Poison can cause muscle stimulus or failure. It can cause nerve damage.
by definition, alcohol is a poison.
Right. But alcohol is a poison, not all poison is alcohol.
Right.
So,
Can be if you're not a coward.
I can see the more mental stats being how you handle the poison. Your body might be shutting down, but if you're able to push through it, and there is, up to a point, a willpower there.
yes and no. Because you can only brain force so much before your body literally fails. I could say that it could be a mental check to determine, when you're poisoned, you have disadvantage on stuff. It could be a mental check to avoid that. But you are not going to brain power your body into succeeding against something that is eating it.
But that right there, what you just said, the poisoned condition is taking disadvantage. That's a mental thing. If you are being poisoned, you're taking poison damage. That's a different thing.
And almost everything that causes a poison status effect requires a constitution save. Because your body has to suffer first before your mind can.
Generally, with the Constitution save, what it is a con save to resist being poisoned.
Yeah.
And then you're taking the damage regardless.
So, no, you take half damage on the save. Usually.
That depends.
So,
A lot of the poisons are not that way.
Can someone please let Josh talk before he explodes?
Okay, so hear me out, and Beck might be with me on this. What if we go back to earlier editions, where poisons wasn't a fucking thing? You couldn't just resist a poison. If you got poisoned, that was first edition. But, no, if you got poisoned, you were just poisoned. There was no, I'm gonna shake this off. You're a fucking human being. You get poisoned. You're poisoned. Fuck you.
Well, that sucks.
Well, what if you're a dwarf?
You get poisoned. Because to be fair, the only race that actually was resistant to poison was elves.
Yeah.
It wasn't dwarves.
You want to tell how high this incline is? That's how you get a dwarf.
I agree with Brian more than I agree with you on that.
No, you take away the con, you no longer have this ability for people to supernaturally just push a poison out of your body. You you fix the poison module. Each poison has a certain ability and has a time limit and has a certain way to cure it. You go with the more realistic way of looking at a poison. You're going, here, you just got poisoned, you need to be medically treated for it.
Plus a restoration.
Or you need to be magically treated for it.
DM's advocate here, and I know this is usually your spot, so I'm sorry to fill it for you, but that's a lot for the DM to keep track of at that point. All those special poisons with different effects, different stats, different everything.
Also, people in real life have different tolerances to the same exact poisons. There are some that are so foul and virulent that everyone is just blanket dead to them. Going back to alcohol is a poison, everyone in this room has a different alcohol tolerance. What you are suggesting is that everyone in this room would instead have the exact same, and all of us would get drunk from the exact same amount of alcohol.
Going off of your thought process, in the earlier part of this conversation, all poisons would just kill you. All humans if we all have arsenic, we all fucking die. There is no fucking taking that away. Nobody here is puffing their chest out and going, I got this! And just doesn't die from arsenic poisoning.
That is one example of a very potent poison that would instantly kill everyone.
Think of most poisons in Dungeons and Dragons. Most of them are some of the highest rated and highest damage dealing effects.
But also, so a lot of poisons take symptoms in the similar effect to illnesses and stuff. What you are saying also is that every single person in this room has the same resistance to ailments, has the same immune system, as well as the same means of dealing with them. What you're saying is completely eliminating Brian's point, which he made and is good, that you can change how you present yourself while you're under these effects.
You can still do that. I'm coming up with a different way to handle it.
You're saying that no matter what, you're presenting yourself as poisoned. You get all of the effects, including the disadvantage.
So
no, we can cover that basis. I want to come to Brian. I want to come back to Eric real quick. DM's advocate? Fuck no, I'm going to build this. I'm building this module where these poisons are being made.
You don't have to.
It already exists.
Not a DM's advocate.
It's a real thing.
The DM, I already do that. I have so many poisons at my control that you guys have come across a couple of them.
There's just no succeeding.
Not to be a drow, but can I have those?
I'm going to have some of them.
I know.
I'm really glad I haven't told you that I have the
I know, I'm very
midnight
upset about
tears.
this.
You have some of them. Anyway.
I can make them.
I don't think we need that.
I think we do.
You take both of our ideas, and if you take Brian's idea for the mental, which was mine originally, I just want that to be said.
I'm not claiming it.
Okay. Andy made it yours. I originally said it.
To go back on what you guys said earlier, there's a campaign in which we've been playing that we have a drow who wants to collect some poisons, and we have a warforge that is carrying multiple poisons on it.
Okay.
We need to specify that for audience.
Oh.
Yeah.
I said not to be a drow.
Yeah.
But no, if you take my original idea that got past the Brian, that he refined, and then you take my new idea that just needs to be refined, and you combine them, you have a whole new system that could handle poisons without constitution checks.
Just to step back to your comment of we all have the same resistance to alcohol, we all have the same resistance to sickness. Not necessarily, because sure, if we're talking about getting rid of the constitution stat, we all have different wisdom stats, we all have different intelligence stats, we all whatever, mental stats. And so that could be part of why Eric and I are less likely to get sick, why Beck can have a lot more alcohol than most of us.
Yeah.
Is because we have different mental stats to hold it together.
It's very much a physical effect as well.
Which is why you take damage.
I agree with Beck that Constitution can be removed. I, however, disagree that Josh's way is the way to do it.
There are also some things that you can push past by just mentally getting past it. That's why the placebo effect is a thing. You get a fake pill, you think it'll cure your sickness, and it does.
Right.
Your mental stats come into that argument there. It's not purely physical. None of it's physical at that point.
You can't say that, though. You can't say that with full confidence because the placebo effect does not work on everyone. It's entirely possible that it works on people who have a naturally high tolerance. It's the survivor's bias. If you're more inclined to it, you're going to report a success, and people who don't report successes, it doesn't mean that there's an overwhelming number of people who succeed at it, just that those are the only people who are reporting it.
Those people who have a high willpower. But
that's not explicitly true. You can't say that with 100% confidence.
But you can't say it's not.
That-
You also cannot put 6 stats on a paper and say, this defines every single person in the world.
No, but it defines each individual person better than 5 stats would.
All right. You don't like the whole mental stat thing. Why don't you do it after the thing they gave you dice for? Okay.
Did I?
Yeah. Barbarians are specifically good at drinking alcohol.
Okay, Beck's onto something.
Or dwarves get advantage when rolling against poisons. Like, if that's really how you want to play it, just use the dice that are already there.
Well, here's the problem. Josh is saying that no one gets to roll against poisons. So
I mean, that's
dwarves getting
fine, too.
advantages.
I'm mostly talking about drinking, because,
Yeah.
yeah.
You roll your hit dice
And add it to a d20.
and add it to a d20.
See, my thing is I'm just taking an earlier edition. Something that was already tried and true, and just refining it.
It was tried and true for the earlier. I feel so strongly that we should not pull stuff from earlier editions to add into 5e because they specifically took them out for a reason.
5e is baby's first D&D game.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
I do.
One thing that I can only think of, the reason Constitution remained so long in all editions of D&D, is for the player to figure out what do they want to sacrifice for their health. Do they want to have a character that can do everything that they can, but are ultimately weaker on the other side? Or do you want to sacrifice that one stat so you can have better survivability?
Fucking Brant hits us with like the real knowledge. Yeah, no, Brant's right.
Alright, it's closing time. You don't have to go home, but you can go check out our other videos on our channel. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe to stay up to date with all the videos that we're going to be putting out. If you want to see more of us, go ahead and check out the links to our social medias in the description below. If you have any suggestions for our next video, leave a comment below. Make sure you finish your drink before you leave.